Alienígenas Pidieron Ayuda Humana, Los Humanos Respondieron. Mirar Al Cielo. The night sky over Earth was never so alive. Across every continent, people looked upward, unconsciously drawn to something that shimmered faintly beyond the stars. At first, it was easy to dismiss. Just another meteor shower, a trick of light, or the glow of satellites. But scientists in observatories from Chile to Japan and from South Africa to Canada noticed the same strange pattern. The stars were not merely blinking, they were sending a signal, a message that stretched across the void of space. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. In a quiet laboratory tucked deep within the mountains, Dr. Amina Rashid stared at the screens in front of her, her eyes wide in disbelief. Data from satellites and radio telescopes streamed in unbroken lines of numbers, symbols, and strange frequencies. "It's not random," she whispered, almost to herself. "Something is trying to communicate." Around her, her colleagues murmured in awe, each person absorbed in decoding a message that seemed impossible to understand. Humanity had always imagined alien life, but now it was clear that someone, or something, was reaching out. The message came from a distant sector of the galaxy, a cluster of stars the human eye could only glimpse as faint points of light. Its origin was the Ilyari, a species so alien that early attempts at observation had baffled astronomers for decades. Tall and slender, with translucent skin that glimmered faintly in their own sunlight, the Ilyari were a civilization of thinkers and dreamers, yet they were now desperate. Their homeworld was dying. The star at the center of their system was unstable, and without intervention, everything would collapse. In fear and hope, they sent a call across the stars, a plea for help that traveled light years to reach Earth. Earth's governments received the transmission almost simultaneously. At first, there was disbelief. Many argued that it could be a hoax or a natural cosmic phenomenon, but the message was precise, undeniable, and sophisticated. The Ilyari were asking for assistance, and they needed it fast. In emergency meetings that lasted for hours, human leaders debated the risk of responding. Would this be a trap? Could helping them put Earth in danger? And yet, there was something compelling about the request, an earnestness that touched even the most cautious minds. Meanwhile, ordinary people began to notice oddities in their skies. In the deserts of Australia, glowing auroras appeared out of nowhere. In the forests of Brazil, fireflies seemed to dance in impossible patterns, reflecting a strange symmetry with distant stars. Children in villages of Africa and Asia pointed at the night sky, calling to their parents about lights that shimmered like silver threads. No one could explain these events, but they all carried the same silent message. The universe had noticed Earth, and now it was asking for humanity to respond. Humanity's answer came in a way only humans could. The leaders of Earth, instead of responding with aggression or fear, chose to speak in a language of hope. Broadcasts went out across the globe, translated into thousands of languages and sent into the depths of space. Look to the sky. Simple, direct, and profoundly human. No threats, no demands, just an invitation, a promise that humans would pay attention, that they would rise to the occasion. The Ilyari received it and paused, sensing a depth of meaning that no message of warning or war could convey. Dr. Rashid watched as the Ilyari's signals began to change. The aliens had never encountered a species that responded with something so mysterious, so bold, yet so peaceful. The message from Earth did not promise weapons, armies, or domination. It promised presence. It promised attention. It promised that humans could be allies in a universe full of danger and uncertainty. Across the globe, people looked at the night sky with a new sense of purpose. They did not know how they could help, but they understood that the first step was to see, to watch, to prepare. As the days passed, humanity's curiosity became a force in itself. Astronomers, engineers and scientists of all kinds worked tirelessly, building networks of observatories and instruments to study the signals. They noticed patterns, sequences that repeated with breathtaking precision. The Ilyari were not just sending a message. They were sending a map, instructions, a guide for anyone intelligent enough to understand. Humans deciphered bits and pieces, small breakthroughs that made them realize how advanced this alien species truly was. And yet, with all their knowledge, the aliens had underestimated one thing: human creativity and the unexpected ways it could turn even the most hopeless situation into possibility. Meanwhile, the news of the cosmic message spread to every corner of the Earth. Children in schoolyards, sitting atop hills, and on rooftops looked at the stars with a sense of wonder. In quiet towns and bustling cities, people whispered about the aliens, speculated about what was to come, and imagined the incredible universe beyond their world. Across social media and television broadcasts, excitement and anticipation grew. Humanity had been given a chance to reach beyond itself, to prove that it could act with courage and ingenuity. At the same time, not all humans were convinced that responding to the Ilyari was wise. Governments debated, secret agencies investigated the possibility of a trap, and military strategists drafted plans for every possible scenario, from peaceful cooperation to catastrophic conflict. Yet even amid caution and fear, there was a recognition that humanity could not ignore this moment. The message from the stars was a challenge, a call to action, and a test of what humans could become. On the night when the first full translation of the Ilyari message began to make sense, Dr. Rashid and her team gathered in the observatory's main hall. The aliens' words were strange and musical, but patterns emerged, revealing a plea for knowledge, guidance, and cooperation. The star at the center of the Ilyari system was deteriorating faster than predicted. Without intervention, their world would face destruction within decades. Yet embedded in the message was hope, instructions for stabilizing energy flows, for techniques that combined science and intuition, for ways to work across minds and species. Humans could understand these instructions, but they would have to act quickly and with imagination. The first public announcement of humanity's response came during a live broadcast watched by billions. Instead of showing military fleets or scientific displays, the broadcast focused on the night sky itself. People were encouraged to look upward, to notice the changes, and to understand that this was the first act of a partnership between species separated by light years. "Look to the sky," the announcer said, echoing the message sent to the Ilyari. And across the globe, millions of eyes did exactly that. As humans looked, they began to feel a sense of unity unlike anything before. Nations that had often clashed came together in quiet cooperation. Scientists shared discoveries openly. Engineers built devices in record time, and ordinary citizens contributed by observing, calculating, and recording phenomena in their skies. The entire planet became part of a single effort, a testament to what humans could achieve when guided by curiosity, empathy, and courage. The Ilyari, watching from across the galaxy, could hardly believe what they were seeing. No other species had ever responded with such coordinated effort, such determination, and such hope. For them, humans were unpredictable, bold, and willing to reach across unimaginable distances to help. The aliens realized that Earth was no ordinary planet. It was home to beings capable of both thought and emotion, strategy and improvisation, fear and incredible bravery. The message had been simple, almost poetic: look to the sky. But it had awakened something extraordinary. In quiet corners of the world, ordinary humans began to sense that their actions mattered. A boy in India sketched the constellations, imagining the aliens watching him. A teacher in Norway used the night sky to inspire her students, telling them that humanity had been called to a challenge greater than any before. An engineer in Canada adjusted a telescope, imagining that the data she collected might save a civilization. All these small acts, seemingly insignificant alone, were part of a larger movement, a movement that would change humanity forever. As the first part of the story came to a close, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Earth had answered the call, not with weapons, not with fear, but with eyes wide open and hearts ready to help. Somewhere in the distant reaches of space, the Ilyari waited, astonished by the unexpected courage and ingenuity of humans. And somewhere on Earth, the night sky shimmered with a quiet promise that humanity, for all its flaws and struggles, had begun a journey that would take it far beyond its own world, into the stars themselves. The call had been received. The first step had been taken. Humanity had looked to the sky. The days after Earth's message reached the Ilyari were filled with an unusual kind of energy. Across the globe, people noticed subtle changes in the skies. Comets seemed to shift slightly from their expected paths. Auroras formed intricate patterns that no one could fully explain, and satellites aligned in precise formations almost as if they were dancing. Scientists rushed to record every detail, realizing that these changes were more than coincidence. They were signs that Earth and the Ilyari were beginning a silent conversation, a dialogue that did not need words. Dr. Amina Rashid was at the center of this effort. Her observatory had become a hub for collaboration between nations and private organizations alike. Engineers from different countries worked side by side, sharing calculations and blueprints, testing instruments, and building devices that could communicate through quantum entanglement with Ilyari systems. The task was daunting, but no one faltered. Humanity had been called to something greater, and people of all ages and professions felt the pull of this cosmic responsibility. The Ilyari watched Earth with growing fascination. They had expected fear or indifference, but humans were different. They did not immediately send fleets or demands. Instead, they observed, they learned, and they began to respond with curiosity and intelligence. Their first acts were subtle but deliberate. The auroras, the shifting satellites, the carefully timed light signals, these were humans reaching out, showing that they were ready to understand and act. It was not just communication. It was a demonstration of ingenuity, something the Ilyari had never seen on such a scale. In classrooms and homes, people began to notice their own small ways of contributing. Children made sketches of the stars, imagining that their drawings could somehow reach the Ilyari. Amateur astronomers set up telescopes in backyards, recording data that could help decode alien messages. Families huddled together on rooftops or in open fields, pointing at patterns in the sky and speculating about what they might mean. Every small act, every moment of attention, became part of the larger human effort. It was a reminder that even ordinary individuals could play a role in something extraordinary. At the same time, scientists uncovered the first fragments of the Ilyari instructions. The alien message was unlike any human language or system of logic. It combined mathematics, energy principles, and concepts that challenged even the brightest minds. But humans approached the puzzle with determination. They shared insights openly, debated possibilities, and tested ideas without fear of failure. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The Ilyari had not merely asked for help. They had provided a blueprint for intervention, a series of steps that could stabilize their star. Yet the solution required creativity, flexibility, and intuition, qualities that humans had in abundance. Dr. Rashid and her team realized that the project could not be solved by technology alone. It required thinking outside the box, improvisation, and a willingness to experiment. In one moment, a young engineer suggested using a network of satellites in an unconventional formation to focus energy bursts on the distant star. At first, the idea seemed impossible, but careful calculations showed it could work. Inspired by this, teams around the world began to propose new approaches, combining human creativity with the knowledge embedded in the Ilyari message. Governments were both supportive and cautious. Military advisors remained wary of potential threats, while diplomats and scientists argued for cooperation and transparency. Despite disagreements, a new sense of global unity emerged. Humanity was learning to act together, not as divided nations, but as a single species capable of responding to a challenge that transcended borders. Meetings were held virtually across continents, conferences streamed live to ensure collaboration, and research findings were shared openly in ways previously unimaginable. The Earth was, in a sense, becoming a single mind, working toward a single purpose. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens noticed subtle changes in their daily lives. Some reported that birds were flying in unusual patterns, echoing the celestial signals above. Ocean currents seemed to shift in response to unknown forces, and weather patterns hinted at connections between Earth and the distant Ilyari system. People began to speak of the universe as something alive, not distant or indifferent, but responsive to their attention and effort. The simple act of looking up at the sky became a ritual of hope and participation. The Ilyari were astonished by this human behavior. They had communicated with many species across the galaxy, but none had responded with such collective attention and ingenuity. The humans did not merely follow instructions, they improved upon them, experimented with ideas, and adapted to the unexpected. The aliens began to sense that Earth was unique, that humans were capable of combining intellect, courage, and creativity in ways that no other species could match. For the Ilyari, this was both a revelation and a source of hope. As part of the growing cooperation, human engineers were asked to construct a prototype device capable of interacting with the Ilyari star. This device was unlike any technology humanity had created before. It required precision, energy control, and the ability to function across unimaginable distances. Teams worked tirelessly, often around the clock, adjusting formulas, calibrating instruments, and simulating scenarios. Mistakes were frequent, but each error became a learning opportunity. The human ability to improvise, to find solutions in the midst of uncertainty, was proving invaluable. Across the globe, children followed the progress of the project with fascination. In classrooms, teachers used the situation to inspire lessons in science, mathematics, and creativity. Parents spoke with their children about hope, perseverance, and the importance of working together. Communities organized stargazing nights, where telescopes were set up for anyone to participate, and volunteers recorded observations that might assist the Ilyari. Humanity was not only solving a cosmic problem, it was awakening a new sense of connection, purpose, and unity. Yet not everything was smooth. Some countries remained skeptical, questioning whether the effort was safe or worthwhile. Others feared that the Ilyari might have ulterior motives. Still, the visible progress, the shifting satellites, the careful alignment of signals, the first successful tests of energy transfer simulations began to change minds. Doubt slowly gave way to belief. Humanity was discovering that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. In the midst of this global effort, a small team of young scientists made a breakthrough. By combining principles from the Ilyari message with human intuition, they discovered a method to stabilize energy flows that was far more efficient than the original instructions. The design relied on focusing bursts of energy in precise sequences, guided by observation and adaptation in real time. This innovation impressed the Ilyari observers, who began to understand that humans were capable of creativity and courage in ways that could not be predicted or replicated. As the project progressed, communication between Earth and the Ilyari became more nuanced. The aliens sent patterns of light, waves, and vibrations that humans translated into actionable data. Humans responded with simulations, adjustments, and small demonstrations of capability. This exchange of ideas, combining alien knowledge with human intuition, grew into a partnership that transcended language and distance. It was a collaboration of minds, a melding of logic and creativity, and it strengthened the bond between the two species. People around the world felt the excitement of being part of something larger than themselves. Families sat together under the stars, imagining distant worlds and civilizations. Artists created works inspired by the cosmic collaboration, depicting light, energy, and hope. Writers and storytellers shared tales of human ingenuity, emphasizing the courage and determination required to respond to a call from the stars. The story of the humans and the Ilyari became a shared myth, a vision of what humanity could achieve when it embraced curiosity, cooperation, and creativity. The Ilyari, in turn, began to offer guidance that went beyond mere technical instructions. They shared insights into their own culture, their philosophy, and their understanding of the universe. Humans listened and adapted, finding ways to merge this knowledge with their own experiences and perspectives. In this exchange, both species were transformed. The Ilyari learned that courage and ingenuity could take forms they had never imagined, and humans discovered that they were capable of acting in ways that reached beyond their planet, beyond fear, and beyond the familiar limits of understanding. As weeks turned into months, the signs of progress became undeniable. Energy simulations stabilized, devices functioned with increasing precision, and the distant star in the Ilyari system showed subtle signs of recovery. Humanity's ingenuity, combined with Ilyari's knowledge, was beginning to make a difference. The realization spread that this was not merely an act of assistance. It was a demonstration of what humans could achieve when they worked together, when they combined intelligence with courage and imagination. By the end of this period, humanity had proven something extraordinary to itself and to the Ilyari. Even in the face of a challenge that spanned light years and threatened an entire civilization, humans were capable of responding with creativity, cooperation, and determination. The night sky, once a distant and mysterious expanse, had become a canvas for human ingenuity, a medium for communication, and a symbol of hope. For Dr. Rashid and her team, the lesson was clear. Humans were more than observers of the universe. They were actors, capable of shaping events, of rising to challenges that seemed impossible, and of making a difference in ways that no other species had achieved. And for ordinary people, the simple act of looking to the sky became a ritual of participation, a reminder that every effort mattered, and that humanity's place in the universe was both unique and powerful. As Part 2 closes, the Ilyari watched with growing admiration. Earth had not only sent a message, it had begun to act, to experiment, and to innovate. Humans had shown that they could combine courage, intelligence, and creativity to face challenges that no one else could. The distant star, slowly stabilizing under the careful guidance of human ingenuity, was a testament to what could happen when a species refused to be passive, when it answered a call not with fear, but with hope. And somewhere on Earth, countless eyes continued to look up at the sky, unaware that their attention, their curiosity, and their determination were shaping the destiny of a distant civilization. Humanity had taken the next step. The universe had noticed. And the partnership between Earth and the Ilyari had only just begun. The moment arrived when humanity would meet the Ilyari face to face, though face might not have been the right word. From the observatories, scientists and engineers watched a massive alien vessel approach Earth's orbit. It was unlike anything humanity had ever seen, a structure that shimmered and flowed like liquid light, its surfaces reflecting stars in impossible patterns. The vessel was enormous, dwarfing even the largest human spacecraft. People around the globe paused to look up, knowing that this was no ordinary event. Humanity was about to meet an entirely new species, one that had called for help and now awaited their response. Dr. Rashid stood with her team in the command room of the observatory. Every screen displayed real-time data, projections, and simulations. "This is it," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the hum of computers. Her colleagues nodded silently. No one could deny the gravity of the moment. For decades, humans had imagined such contact, but imagination had never prepared them for reality. The Ilyari had come, not as conquerors, but as beings in need, and the responsibility of responding rested on Earth as a whole. The Ilyari vessel hovered in orbit, its light shifting in ways that seemed almost alive. Slowly, humans discovered that the aliens were communicating through patterns of illumination and subtle gravitational pulses. Every movement, every shimmer of the ship carried meaning. It was a language of light and energy, something no human tongue could speak, but every human mind could begin to understand. Teams of linguists, mathematicians, and engineers worked together, decoding the sequences. Soon, the humans were able to respond using light signals projected from satellites and arrays on Earth's surface. It was a delicate dance, a conversation across millions of kilometers, but the communication was real and immediate. As signals passed back and forth, the Ilyari began to realize something extraordinary about humans. The messages they received were not only precise but creative. Humans did not merely follow instructions. They experimented, improvised, and offered unexpected solutions. Where the aliens had expected simple responses, they instead encountered innovation. The realization slowly sank in. These beings were unlike any species the Ilyari had ever encountered. They were fearless in thought, bold in action, and eager to learn. Humanity's first efforts went beyond mere words. Scientists demonstrated new energy-focusing techniques that could manipulate and stabilize the distant star. Engineers proposed arrays of satellites that would coordinate their energy emissions in precise patterns. Each idea was tested, refined, and transmitted back to the Ilyari. The aliens observed, their luminous forms flickering with what humans interpreted as awe and curiosity. It was clear that the Ilyari had never seen anything like this. Humanity was unpredictable, and unpredictability in this context was a source of hope. Meanwhile, ordinary people became part of the story in ways both small and significant. Volunteers recorded observations of the sky, noting shifts in light patterns, comet trajectories, and auroras. Communities gathered in parks and open fields, pointing telescopes and cameras toward the heavens. Even children contributed, drawing constellations and imagining solutions to cosmic problems. Every act of attention became part of the global effort, a reminder that humanity's strength lay not only in technology, but in collective observation, creativity, and care. Tensions existed, of course. Some nations feared that the Ilyari might have ulterior motives. Military strategists debated what to do if the aliens turned hostile, and secret agencies monitored communications for signs of deception. Yet the more humans observed, the more they realized that the Ilyari were sincere. The aliens were in danger, and their plea was genuine. It was a challenge, yes, but also a test of humanity's ability to act not out of fear, but out of courage and compassion. The first direct human-alien exchange took place when a series of satellites, carefully coordinated, emitted a complex light pattern in response to a signal from the vessel. The Ilyari watched and, after moments that seemed eternal, responded with their own patterns. Humanity had learned to speak in light, a language without words but full of meaning. Across the globe, scientists celebrated the breakthrough. Humanity was not only communicating, it was collaborating on a level previously unimaginable. As collaboration deepened, humans discovered that the Ilyari had prepared for more than just stabilization. They shared insights into energy flow, matter manipulation, and the delicate balance of forces within a dying star. The information was complex and abstract, yet humans approached it with determination. By combining their own ingenuity with the alien knowledge, they began to design a system that could actively influence the distant star's stability. The work was intricate, often requiring improvisation and rapid adaptation to unforeseen variables. But humans thrived in uncertainty. Where other species might have hesitated, humans experimented, learned, and evolved their strategies. One team of engineers proposed an ambitious plan, a series of modular devices, built on Earth and transported into orbit, capable of projecting controlled bursts of energy toward the Ilyari star. The design combined human technology with alien guidance, creating a hybrid system that leveraged the strengths of both species. Simulations showed promise, and prototypes were constructed and tested. Each success, however small, fueled confidence. Humanity was learning not only to understand the Ilyari, but to contribute meaningfully to the solution. The Ilyari, observing these developments, experienced something akin to admiration. Their history was full of advanced civilizations, yet none had approached challenges with the kind of creativity and determination humans displayed. The aliens began to share more than technical knowledge. They offered philosophical insights, strategies for problem-solving, and even guidance on ethical considerations. Humans, in turn, adapted these lessons to their own understanding, merging alien thought with human intuition. It was a partnership, a collaboration of minds across light years. As the days passed, the sense of global unity grew. Governments, organizations, and ordinary citizens all recognized that humanity had a unique opportunity. This was not a time for division or suspicion, but for cooperation, imagination, and courage. Across the world, classrooms incorporated lessons from the unfolding events. Artists created works inspired by the interaction with the Ilyari, depicting light, energy, and hope. Families watched the night sky together, understanding that their attention and care were part of a cosmic effort. Humanity was discovering that courage and creativity could ripple outward, influencing not just Earth but distant civilizations. In the orbiting vessel, the Ilyari observed human ingenuity in action. They were astonished by the willingness of humans to experiment, to adapt, and to embrace uncertainty. Every adjustment, every new approach, was met with careful observation and thoughtful response. The aliens began to realize that humans could accomplish things that no other species could, not because of technology alone, but because of the combination of intellect, creativity, and courage. The collaboration also required trust. Humans had to rely on alien knowledge they could not fully comprehend, while the Ilyari had to trust humans with the delicate task of influencing a star across millions of kilometers. Mistakes could be catastrophic. Yet despite the risks, both species moved forward together, learning, adapting, and supporting each other. The partnership was not perfect, but it was profound. It demonstrated that even across unimaginable distances and differences, cooperation and mutual respect could lead to extraordinary results. At one point, a young engineer in Brazil discovered a subtle flaw in the energy projection sequence. If left uncorrected, it could destabilize the entire system. She proposed a rapid adjustment, improvising with resources that were not part of the original plan. The decision was risky, but Dr. Rashid supported her. The adjustment worked perfectly, preventing disaster and demonstrating that human intuition and courage were as important as technical skill. The Ilyari observed with admiration, realizing that humans were capable of thinking creatively in moments of high stakes, a trait that no algorithm or alien protocol could replicate. Ordinary people continued to participate in ways that made a real difference. Observations from amateur astronomers helped refine projections. Children's sketches revealed patterns that suggested new alignments. Volunteers from every continent contributed in small ways, each act a testament to the human capacity to unite in purpose. The night sky became a medium of communication, a canvas on which humans and aliens worked together to save a world. The first tangible results were subtle but undeniable. Instruments detected stabilization in the Ilyari star, energy flows beginning to balance in response to human-guided adjustments. The aliens' relief was palpable, their luminous forms pulsing with emotion humans could almost interpret. For the first time in centuries, the Ilyari dared to hope. And on Earth, people celebrated cautiously, understanding that the work was far from over but that progress had been made. Humanity had proved that it could act boldly, intelligently, and creatively when faced with a challenge that spanned the stars. As Part 3 draws to a close, the reality of the partnership became clear. Humans had not only answered a call, they had become collaborators, innovators, and problem solvers in a cosmic effort. The Ilyari had witnessed courage, ingenuity, and creativity in ways no other species had ever displayed. Humanity was not perfect and mistakes would come, but the combination of curiosity, imagination, and determination was a force unlike any other. The night sky over Earth shimmered with light, a symbol of the growing connection between two species separated by light years but united in purpose. The future remained uncertain, the challenges immense, and the stakes higher than ever. Yet humanity had taken its place among the stars, not through conquest or fear, but through courage, collaboration, and imagination. For the first time, humans truly understood the power of their own ingenuity. And somewhere in the Ilyari system, a star slowly responded to the efforts of Earth, pulsing with the promise of hope, life, and a partnership that could change the universe. Humanity had reached out. The Ilyari had responded. And together, they had taken the first steps toward something extraordinary, something that would test courage, ingenuity, and spirit in ways no one could yet imagine. The days that followed the first successful stabilization of the Ilyari star were filled with anticipation, hope, and a new sense of responsibility. Humanity had taken its first steps in a cosmic partnership, but the real test had only just begun. The star, while showing signs of improvement, was far from fully stable. Fluctuations in energy flows remained dangerous, unpredictable, and growing in intensity. Scientists on Earth and engineers aboard human-alien collaborative stations knew that any miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. This was no longer a theoretical exercise. It was a trial of skill, courage, and resilience. Dr. Amina Rashid convened a meeting with the top engineers, scientists, and strategists involved in the project. The room was filled with quiet tension, the air thick with anticipation. Every screen displayed real-time simulations of the star, showing energy bursts, gravitational waves, and other phenomena that defied full comprehension. "This is the moment," she said, her voice steady but serious. "We have done well so far, but the star is not fully stable. We are going to face conditions far worse than anything we have simulated. We need courage, creativity, and precision, and we need to trust each other." Teams around the world prepared for the mission that would take humanity's efforts beyond observation and calculation. Specialized modules, built in collaboration with the Ilyari, were ready to travel toward the star. These modules contained energy projectors, stabilizers, and sensors capable of adapting in real time. Unlike any human spacecraft before, they relied on human intuition as much as technology. Simulations had shown that rigid protocols would fail. Only those willing to improvise and respond to changing conditions could succeed. Volunteers from every nation, scientists and engineers alike, prepared to board the modules. They understood the risk, They might never return, but the sense of duty was overwhelming. The Ilyari watched the preparations with a mix of anxiety and admiration. They had witnessed humans act with intelligence, creativity, and courage. But this was the first time humanity would venture so close to a danger that could destroy a civilization. The aliens offered guidance, sharing insights into the star's energy patterns, but the execution depended entirely on human judgment. The partnership had reached a critical stage, one that demanded trust, ingenuity, and fearlessness. As the modules launched into space, humanity held its collective breath. Across continents, people watched the night sky, following the progress of the mission. The modules, small against the vastness of space, moved with precision and purpose. The volunteers inside were calm yet focused, each aware that they carried the hopes of two species on their shoulders. They adjusted energy emitters, monitored the star's behavior, and communicated continuously with Earth and the Ilyari. Every decision mattered, every action could mean life or death for billions. The first challenge came sooner than expected. Massive solar flares erupted from the star, more intense and unpredictable than simulations had predicted. The modules were buffeted by intense energy waves, forcing the crews to improvise. Standard protocols failed to respond quickly enough, and engineers had to manually adjust emitters, recalibrating the stabilizers in real time. One young engineer, noticing a subtle pattern in the energy waves, suggested a sequence of rapid adjustments that could dampen the flares. It was risky, untested, and required perfect timing, but it worked. The flares subsided, and the modules stabilized, proving once again that human intuition and courage were just as vital as technology. Meanwhile, back on Earth, people followed every development with awe and anxiety. Families huddled around screens, holding hands and hoping for success. Schools conducted live lessons explaining the science behind the mission, turning fear into learning and wonder. Social media was filled with messages of encouragement, shared data, and artistic representations of the star and the mission. Humanity was united, watching as its best minds ventured into danger, knowing that their ingenuity and courage were shaping the fate of another world. The next obstacle was a gravitational anomaly surrounding the star. Streams of high-energy particles twisted and surged unpredictably, threatening to knock the modules off course. The Ilyari provided guidance, but the patterns were too complex for automated systems alone. Humans had to adapt, using observations and split-second calculations to guide the modules safely through the turbulence. Engineers aboard the modules communicated constantly with Earth, coordinating energy bursts to counteract the anomaly. The tension was immense, but the volunteers remained focused, demonstrating courage, ingenuity, and teamwork on an unprecedented scale. During one critical moment, an unexpected surge disabled a portion of the module's main energy projectors. The crew faced a choice: abort the mission or attempt a repair in the middle of the star's volatile energy field. They chose courage. Risking their lives, the engineers manually repaired the systems while simultaneously monitoring the star. The repair took longer than expected, and for moments disaster seemed inevitable. Yet, through determination, skill, and trust in each other, the repair succeeded. The projectors came online, energy flows stabilized, and the modules resumed their critical work. Humanity's ability to adapt and improvise had prevented catastrophe. As the mission progressed, communication between humans and the Ilyari grew more fluid. The aliens observed humanity's creativity and problem-solving skills with fascination. They realized that humans could not only follow instructions but improve upon them, generating solutions that no algorithm or pre-programmed protocol could anticipate. The partnership had evolved beyond guidance and implementation. It had become a true collaboration of minds, combining human ingenuity with alien knowledge to tackle a challenge no single species could face alone. Back on Earth, ordinary citizens continued to play their part. Amateur astronomers monitored the modules, noting subtle deviations and reporting them to control centers. Children created drawings and models that suggested alternative alignments for energy projections. Volunteers compiled data from across the planet, helping to refine calculations and optimize systems. Each contribution, no matter how small, became part of the larger mission. Humanity was not only witnessing the trial, it was actively participating, united in purpose and spirit. The final and most dangerous phase of the mission approached. The star's energy fluctuations reached a critical peak, threatening to destabilize entirely. The modules had to coordinate a massive energy burst, timed perfectly and projected with exact precision, to prevent catastrophic collapse. Engineers and scientists worked feverishly, testing simulations, refining sequences, and coordinating across multiple modules and Earth-based stations. Every second mattered, every calculation had to be flawless, and every human involved had to act with courage and creativity. The energy burst began. Lights flashed across the modules, systems hummed with power, and humans executed their complex maneuvers. For a tense few minutes, the star roared and pulsed violently, as if resisting the intervention. The modules trembled, warning alarms sounded, and volunteers focused with unwavering determination. Every human and Ilyari observer waited, hearts pounding, for the results. Then slowly, the energy flows began to stabilize. The star's violent surges diminished, its light settling into a steady rhythm. Humanity had succeeded. Celebration was immediate but tempered by exhaustion and awe. The modules had survived, the star was stable, and the mission had demonstrated something profound. Humans were capable of courage, ingenuity, and collaboration on a scale no one had imagined. The Ilyari pulsed with gratitude and admiration, their forms glowing brightly as they acknowledged the achievement. Humans, too, felt the weight and significance of their success. They had not merely saved a civilization, they had proven what humanity could achieve when united, creative, and fearless. In the aftermath, Dr. Rashid addressed her team. "We have faced the greatest challenge any humans have ever confronted. We have done so with courage, creativity, and unity. Today, we have shown not only the Ilyari but ourselves what humanity can accomplish. Remember this moment. It is proof that together, we can rise to challenges beyond imagination." Her words echoed through control centers, stations, and observatories around the world, inspiring all who had contributed, watched, or participated. The world celebrated cautiously, aware that more challenges awaited but proud of what had been achieved. Schools, media, and public gatherings shared the story of courage, ingenuity, and human spirit. Artists depicted the modules, the star, and the collaboration with the Ilyari, while scientists used the success to inspire new generations of thinkers, engineers, and problem solvers. Humanity had stepped into a new era, one in which its place in the cosmos was no longer passive observation but active engagement. For the Ilyari, the mission had a profound impact. They had witnessed humans act in ways that were unpredictable, courageous, and inventive. They had come to understand that humanity's strength lay not in rigid protocols or pre-programmed systems, but in imagination, adaptability, and fearlessness. The aliens realized that Earth was home to a species unlike any they had encountered, a species capable of rising to cosmic challenges with ingenuity, creativity, and heart. As Part 4 drew to a close, the modules returned safely, energy flows remained stable, and humanity had proven itself in ways that extended beyond technology or science. It was a test of spirit, courage, and collaboration, and humans had passed with distinction. The night sky, once distant and mysterious, had become a stage on which humanity's ingenuity and bravery had played out. The star in the Ilyari system now shone steadily, a testament to human effort and courage. The future remained uncertain, challenges would continue, and the universe was full of unknown dangers. Yet humanity had learned something vital. Courage, creativity, and collaboration could overcome even the most impossible odds. They had faced the trial of fire and emerged victorious. And somewhere in the distant reaches of the galaxy, the Ilyari now looked at Earth with hope and admiration, knowing that this species could rise to challenges that no one else could. Humanity had acted. They had risked everything, and they had proven that they were capable of greatness, not through conquest or fear, but through courage, creativity, and unity. The journey was far from over, but the lesson was clear. Humans, when united and brave, could achieve the impossible. After the trial of fire, humanity and the Ilyari faced the final phase of their journey together. The star in the Ilyari system had stabilized, but subtle fluctuations remained. Every scientist, engineer, and volunteer knew that one small mistake could reverse months of effort. Yet there was also hope, a quiet, steady belief that humanity's ingenuity, courage, and collaboration had already changed the course of an entire civilization. The stakes had never been higher, but for the first time, both humans and aliens felt that success was possible, real, and within reach. Earth became a planet-wide center of activity. Observatories, laboratories, and research stations buzzed day and night, with people working tirelessly to refine the stabilization techniques. Engineers collaborated with Ilyari advisors, adjusting energy projections, calibrating sensors, and monitoring the star's behavior in real time. Communications between the two species had grown seamless, relying on patterns of light, energy pulses, and mathematical signals. Humans learned to think like the Ilyari in some ways, understanding cosmic energy flows, while the Ilyari adapted to human improvisation and unpredictability. Together, they created a system neither species could have developed alone. Dr. Amina Rashid oversaw a coordination center that linked Earth to modules stationed near the Ilyari star. She moved among her teams, encouraging, observing, and helping solve problems as they arose. "Remember," she said, addressing the engineers during one particularly tense session, "we have done more than stabilize a star. We have shown that courage, creativity, and collaboration can overcome even the greatest dangers. Stay focused, adapt, and trust in your instincts." Her words echoed the philosophy that had guided humanity through the previous phases. Think boldly, act decisively, and never lose hope. The modules that had survived the trial of fire were now the central tools in the final stabilization process. Human crews, alongside Ilyari technicians, operated them with precision. Energy bursts were timed perfectly, sequences adjusted in real time, and sensors monitored every fluctuation. The work demanded skill, concentration, and a deep understanding of both technology and intuition. Any misstep could create a chain reaction that might destabilize the star completely. Despite the pressure, the teams remained calm, trusting in the lessons learned during the earlier phases of the mission. The Ilyari were astonished by human adaptability. Time and again, humans responded to unexpected changes with innovation. When a sudden gravitational anomaly threatened the modules, engineers devised a new sequence of energy pulses in mere minutes. When a data transmission failed, humans improvised a signal relay using satellites and communication networks previously not intended for this purpose. The Ilyari realized that human creativity was not just problem-solving, it was a force of nature, capable of reshaping events and defying impossible odds. On Earth, ordinary people continued to participate. Volunteers in remote locations monitored signals, recorded celestial patterns, and contributed to simulations. Children sketched constellations, noting anomalies that were sometimes incorporated into energy alignment calculations. Families watched live updates on massive screens, cheering small victories and learning the science behind each step. Humanity had united in ways never before seen, every individual understanding that their attention, curiosity, and dedication were contributing to the survival of an entire civilization. The final stabilization phase was the most dangerous. Energy flows from the star became unpredictable, oscillating in ways that could not be fully simulated. The modules had to act simultaneously, projecting immense energy bursts with perfect timing and alignment. The coordination required split-second decisions and constant adaptation. Teams communicated constantly, combining human intuition with Ilyari guidance. For hours, the modules moved, pulsed, and adjusted in a delicate cosmic ballet that demanded precision, courage, and collaboration. In one critical moment, a sudden surge threatened to overwhelm a module's systems. The human crew had only seconds to respond. Using a combination of training, instinct, and improvisation, they rerouted power through auxiliary channels and recalibrated the energy projectors. The surge passed without causing harm. The Ilyari observed, their glowing forms radiating emotion humans could almost interpret: relief, admiration, and profound respect. Humanity's courage and ingenuity had prevented disaster once more, reinforcing the belief that nothing was impossible when humans worked together and trusted their abilities. The energy bursts continued, each wave more precise than the last. Sensors on Earth and aboard the modules reported steady improvement. The star, once unpredictable and violent, began to radiate a steady, stable light. Scientists and engineers exchanged quick messages of encouragement, while children around the world pointed telescopes skyward, marveling at the cosmic spectacle. Humanity had not only saved the Ilyari star, they had transformed a dangerous, unstable force into something harmonious, a living testament to ingenuity and courage. The Ilyari finally made direct contact with a human representative for the first time. The massive alien vessel shimmered in orbit, projecting forms and patterns that humans interpreted as language. Dr. Rashid, standing on a platform surrounded by engineers and officials, received the message. The Ilyari expressed gratitude in ways that transcended words, showing humans the depth of their appreciation. They revealed glimpses of their culture, their history, and the emotional weight of the crisis humanity had helped avert. Humans listened, humbled and proud, realizing that their actions had not only saved a star but preserved a civilization. As the final adjustments were made, Earth experienced a quiet, almost spiritual moment. Across the planet, people looked up at the night sky, seeing subtle changes in the stars and constellations. The universe seemed to respond, shimmering with light and color that humans could scarcely explain. Children pointed excitedly, teachers paused lessons to observe, and families gathered outside to witness the sky's transformation. It was a moment of shared triumph, a reminder that the efforts of one species could ripple outward, touching distant worlds and shaping the cosmos. Celebrations were cautious but heartfelt. Scientists, engineers, and volunteers who had contributed to the mission shared stories of courage, perseverance, and innovation. Artists created murals and paintings depicting the modules, the stabilized star, and the partnership between humans and the Ilyari. Writers and storytellers shared tales of human bravery, imagination, and collaboration, inspiring new generations to dream, explore, and act boldly. Humanity had proven itself, not through domination or conquest, but through courage, ingenuity, and unity. The Ilyari, for their part, offered a new level of partnership. They shared technologies, energy principles, and scientific knowledge that had been refined over millennia. Humans absorbed this information eagerly, using it to advance understanding of physics, energy, and cosmic phenomena. The relationship between the two species had grown beyond assistance and observation. It had become a partnership built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. Together, they had achieved something neither could have done alone. Even in quiet moments, the significance of humanity's actions was clear. A child in Africa, looking through a telescope, wondered how the distant star had been saved. A teacher in Europe explained the science behind the stabilization to her students, turning awe into knowledge. Engineers on Earth and in orbit continued to monitor the star, refining processes and ensuring long-term stability. Every action reinforced the lesson that humans could rise to challenges far beyond their planet when they combined courage, creativity, and cooperation. Dr. Rashid reflected on the journey. She thought of the first message humanity had sent: "Look to the sky." That simple phrase had sparked a chain of events that transformed both species. Humans had answered not with weapons or fear, but with ingenuity, courage, and attention. They had learned to communicate, collaborate, and innovate in ways that no one had imagined. They had faced the impossible and succeeded. And they had inspired the Ilyari and themselves to believe that the universe was not a place of passive observation, but a realm where courage, creativity, and unity could shape reality. The final act of the mission was symbolic but powerful. Humanity projected a coordinated light display into the sky, a message to the Ilyari and a celebration of shared achievement. Across Earth, people watched the lights dance, shimmering with energy and meaning. The Ilyari responded in kind, their vessel projecting radiant forms that spoke of gratitude, respect, and hope. For a brief, shining moment, the universe seemed to pause, acknowledging the partnership that had saved a star and strengthened the bond between species. In the aftermath, the Ilyari made an unprecedented offer. They invited humans to visit their system, to learn from their culture, and to participate in a broader cosmic network of knowledge and collaboration. Humans, in turn, expressed humility and gratitude, understanding that this was more than an opportunity, it was a responsibility. The partnership had begun as a request for help, but it had evolved into a lasting connection based on trust, respect, and mutual growth. As the story drew to its close, the people of Earth continued to look to the sky with wonder and inspiration. Children dreamed of traveling to distant stars, scientists imagined new technologies, and ordinary people marveled at the courage and ingenuity of their species. The night sky was no longer distant or indifferent. It was a canvas of possibility, a reminder that humanity had the power to act boldly, to innovate, and to create hope even in the darkest circumstances. The Ilyari star shone steadily now, a symbol of life preserved, of civilization saved, and of the extraordinary partnership between humans and aliens. Humanity had answered a call from the stars, faced impossible challenges, and proven that courage, creativity, and collaboration could overcome even the greatest dangers. Across Earth, countless eyes gazed upward, inspired by the knowledge that their species had made a difference, that their actions had reached across light years, and that the universe was a place where hope and ingenuity could thrive. Humanity had looked to the sky, and the universe had responded. A civilization had been saved, knowledge had been shared, and a bond had been forged between species. The journey was far from over, but the lesson was clear. Humans, when united and courageous, could achieve the impossible. And somewhere in the distant reaches of space, the Ilyari and Earth together gazed at the stars, knowing that this was only the beginning of a shared future, full of discovery, hope, and the promise of what lay beyond.